Welcome to the Old Soul, New Soul Astrology Podcast with Robert Glasscock. I'm Thomas Miller. Today we're going to talk about a question that comes up from everybody who ever has looked into astrology. What do I do if there are no planets in a sign or a house in my chart? Does that, Robert, mean that area of my life is dead?
I hope not, because every one of us has empty houses, including me. And no, it doesn't mean that house is dead. It simply means that a house without any planets in it is still ruled. Those house matters are still ruled by the sign on that cusp, and therefore by the planet that rules that sign. And that planet will be in another house that will tend to determine the empty house for you. So, for example, we've got my chart here. I have an empty first house. I do have the South Node there, but it's not a planet.
By the way, the chart is in the show notes. Sorry, I forgot to mention that at the beginning, but we want people to be able to call it up too. All right.
Good. So technically, I basically have an empty house, or I have an empty second house. Does that mean I'm not going to earn any money? No. It means that money for me is an Aquarian issue, and I have such an oddball relationship to money, Thomas, and always have. But Aquarius on the second cusp says this man is likely to earn his living through something that involves the collective and involves air sign communications, something unusual and unique, maybe metaphysical, maybe astrological, because it's all ruled by Aquarius. But he's got this quirky attitude about money. It's one of the signs, Aquarius, of self-employment. So is Uranus. Well, Uranus rules Aquarius. So I don't have anything in the money house, but the planet that rules money in my life, there are two, because Saturn is the old Chaldean ruler, but the contemporary ruler is Uranus. It's in my sixth house of work in Gemini and retrograde. So my money I'm going to earn money through a million things because it's Gemini, or get them down to maybe two or three things, all of which will have to do with my mind and my words and communication and my thoughts. Writing is certainly a part of that. And it's Uranus in my sixth house. So my work and my money are both unusual, offbeat. Well, you bet. So astrology and television, ruled by, again, Aquarius and Uranus. So that's how this works. My first house is empty. Let's say, forget the South Node there, but I'm ruled by Capricorn. So my chart ruler is in my seventh house. And I cannot tell you how much of my early life, especially till I was about 40, was based on two things: consulting with people, which is Saturn on the seventh, you have it too. But I was trying to find the ideal marriage. I thought that was going to save me. That was where I wanted to hang my hat. Just find the ideal mate, and everything would be it. Well, it never quite worked out because I have a horrible chart for marriage, which I didn't understand even with astrology until probably I was late 40s. I finally understood it. That what I really love in my life is my career, and my careers, plural. And I would unconsciously either be attracted to relationships that I knew wouldn't last, or I would behave in ways that would drive the other away, or I would only choose partners unconsciously that would drive me away in time. So I've had some wonderful relationships in life, very karmic and very deep and wonderful, and thank heaven for them. But that was my mistake early in life, is thinking if I just find the right one, then everything will be okay. And second of all, unconsciously, I was looking for security through marriage, Cancer. So I was thinking, good, marriage and a family will bring me the security that I'm looking for, that I did not get in my birth family, which I wanted to get away from, which I did. So you see, that was the kind of soul mistake that a lot of people make. They think that the right man or woman is going to bring them happiness. And they may for a time, but if they're hanging the whole framework of their life on somebody else, that's the mistake. Because if that person dies or leaves, that sticks the person with nothing because they put all their focus on that. So that's one of the ways you can interpret these empty houses, so to speak. My house of friendships is ruled by Scorpio, for example. Empty. Do I not have any friends? No, I've had a lot of friends in my life. But the truth is, I have very few real close friends. I'm picky. I have a lot of acquaintances and I adore them. But Mars rules that house, and Mars is in my 10th house. So my friendships are largely based on professional contacts, always have been. So that's how you begin to look at these empty, so-called empty houses. Everybody has some.
So it's not all lost if you don't have planets in that house. In fact, just by looking at Robert's chart, you see that let's just go around, the 2nd, the 4th, the 5th, the 8th, and the 11th are all and the 12th are all empty. And I think you've done just fine, my friend. I think you truly have.
Well, even the 5th house, Thomas, ruled by Taurus, on that cusp, the house rules pleasure, it rules creativity, it rules education, especially up through high school. Even beyond it rules teaching, along with the 9th house, all of which. But my real pleasure in life, I thought it was coming from the old sex, drugs, and rock and roll of the 60s, which of course is one of the reasons I moved to Los Angeles to be an actor. But boy, when you're an actor, you've certainly had access to all of the above. But then almost immediately, astrology discovered me, and suddenly I was deeply involved in metaphysics. Well, I have the ruler of my 5th in the 10th of my career. I made a career out of what has given me the deepest pleasure, followed my bliss, in other words. And so again, pleasure for me is my career. That's the truth. It gives me more pleasure, more rewards, not just financially, but on a soul level than anything. And I got to tell you, acting was a wonderful short career for me. I did win a scholarship at it and was able to act for a few years in wonderful productions of Macbeth. You're doing Shakespeare, you're doing Thornton Wilder, these incredible characters and dramas about life. And you're acting as other people, so you're getting into psychology and the understanding of people. And then suddenly here's astrology giving me more in-depth information about human beings and myself and psychology. And so that's my love. So my real pleasure, as it's certainly at this age, is in my 10th house of career. So that's how these empty houses work, if you just think about them a little bit.
Well, as they say, you can't make this stuff up. All right. Thank you for that explanation and that confidence that we're all going to be okay. If you'd like to talk to Robert, he is available taking readings and bookings for readings. That information is also in the show notes and our Discord channel, YouTube channel, and more. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time on Old Soul, New Soul Astrology Podcast with Robert Glasscock.